If you're buying or selling a house in Calgary, there's a document you're going to run into that almost nobody explains properly. It's called a real property report, and most buyers and sellers don't really understand what it is until something goes sideways at closing. Today, I'll give you the plain read, what an RPR actually is, why it matters, and what I'd want you to know if you were my client. Quick context, I'm David, a realtor with CIR Realty here in Calgary, and I work with buyers and sellers all over the city. Out-the-door infills, New Brighton townhomes, acreages out past Springbank. RPRs come up in nearly every deal I close, and honestly, a few of those have caused real problems. The kind of problems that delay closings, run up legal bills, and rattle people 2 weeks before possession. So this isn't theoretical, it's the version I'd actually tell a friend. So here's what an RPR actually is. A real property report. Most people just call it an RPR, and it's a legal document specific to Alberta. It's prepared by an Alberta land surveyor, and it's a detailed diagram of your property. So here's what's on it. The location of your house, your deck, your fence, your driveway, your shed, your garage, anything permanent on the lot. All of those structures are measured against your actual property lines, but the diagram is only half the document. The other half is something called a compliance certificate. That's a separate piece of paper from the city of Calgary, or whatever municipality you're in that says, yes, everything on this RPR follows local bylaws. Setbacks are correct, no unpermitted structures, no encroachments on city land. A complete RPR for a Calgary transaction is really both of those together. The drawing plus the city stamp of approval. Costs. You're looking at roughly $700 to $1,200 for survey work on a typical detached home in Calgary, plus roughly $200 for the City of Calgary compliance certificate. And acreages run higher. One more thing, an RPR is not a home inspection. People get those confused. An inspection is about the condition of the house, roof, furnace, electrical, plumbing, and an RPR is about the location and legality. They're completely different documents, ordered separately, paid for separately, and they protect you from completely different things. If you're buying, the RPR is what tells you the house is actually where it's supposed to sit. Sounds obvious, but it catches more stuff than you'd think. A few examples from real Calgary deals. Example 1, deck encroachment. Seller built a deck 8 years ago, never got a permit. Deck extends 6 inches past the property line into the neighbor's yard. The neighbor never said anything until the RPR comes out and the city won't issue compliance. Now there's a problem. Either the seller removes the deck, or the neighbor agrees in writing to leave it, or the buyer accepts an unresolved compliance issue. None of those are quick fixes. Example 2, unpermitted garage. Detached garage built in 1998 by the previous owner. The current seller has owned the house for 15 years and assumed everything was fine. Turns out there was never a development permit pulled for that garage. The city won't issue compliance, closing gets delayed 3 weeks while the seller scrambles to get retroactive permits and an inspection done. Example 3, and this one's quieter. Old RPR from 2015 still on file. House had a hot tub deck added since. RPR is technically out of date because the new structure hasn't shown on it. The buyer's lawyer flags it. Now we're scrambling to update an RPR 2 weeks before possession. What that says in plain language, the RPR is your protection that the house you're buying is actually the house on paper. Buyers waive that protection at their own risk. If you're selling, the math flips. You're the one producing this document, and the part I'd want sellers to know is this. Get on it early. Earlier than your realtor probably told you. Survey companies in Calgary are running 2 to 4 weeks out on appointments. Then the city compliance review is another 1 to 3 weeks. Math that out. If you list your house, get an offer in 2 weeks, and the buyer's lawyer wants a current RPR with a compliance by closing, which is the standard area standard contract default, you can be in for a tight spot before you even sign the deal. So what I tell every seller of mine, get the RPR commission before we list, not after. Even if the listing's going to take 3 weeks to firm up, the survey work starts on day 1. By the time we have an offer in hand, you have a document. Other thing worth knowing, if you already have an RPR from when you bought the house, the surveyor can often update it for less than the cost of a new one. You're typically looking at $500 to $700, and that usually includes the compliance stamp. So dig out the file before you assume you're starting from scratch. And one trap. If you've added a deck, a fence, a shed, a hot tub, finished off a basement suite, anything structural since your last RPR, your old document doesn't reflect that. It's technically out of date, your lawyer or the buyer's lawyer will flag it. So here's the part most people don't realize. You can technically skip the RPR. Title insurance does some of the same protective work, and the way that it works is instead of getting a current RPR with compliance, the buyer's lawyer arranges title insurance through a company like First Canadian Title or Stewart Title. The insurance policy covers most of what an RPR would catch: compliance issues, certain title problems, and cost varies, but $200 to $500 per side is typical. When does this make sense? A few situations. Newer condo where RPRs aren't really the standard anymore, a transaction where the seller can't get compliance in time and both parties agree to use title insurance instead, or sometimes a buyer just wants speed and the seller offers an inducement to skip the survey work. When does it not? A few situations where I'd push back. Older detached homes with potential compliance issues, renovated properties, acreages, anywhere you genuinely want to see what your surveyor sees. Honest read, title insurance is a useful backstop, not a substitute. It covers you financially if something goes wrong, but it doesn't tell you what's actually on the lot. The two tools do different jobs, even if they overlap on the legal side. If you're buying or selling in Calgary, the RPR is one of the documents that's quietly load-bearing for the whole transaction. It's not flashy, and it's not what people talk about at open houses, but it will be one of the documents that decides whether your closing goes smoothly or whether you're sweating it for the last 2 weeks. If you're my client, I'd want you asking about the RPR before you sign anything. If you're selling, get started early. If you're buying, don't waive it without understanding what you're trading off. If you want more honest takes on the Calgary market and the documents nobody explains until something goes wrong, subscribe. I drop a new one of these a couple times a month. And if you're thinking about a move in Calgary, my DMs are open, or you can find me at calgaryrealestatehomes.ca.